Moving on here, we're going to be talking about the playoff MVP so far. Um, I feel like there's been a lot of high level play so far in the NBA playoffs um, regarding all these players playing really well, outstepping their boundaries, as we'll talk about as well. Guys that are playing at a really high level. And the first person I want to talk about is Nikola Jokic, right? You don't think about this guy. He's a two-time reigning MVP. People always give him crap, which is unfortunate. And it's just like this guy's still playing at a high level. They dispatched the Wolves in 5 or 6, I believe. I can't remember. But Nikola Jokic, 25.8 points per game, 13.5 rebounds, 8.7 assists in the playoffs. Let's remember that in the playoffs, folks. Like this guy is still playing. Whatever you guys want to say, you guys want to doubt him, say he doesn't play defense, whatever the case may be. He's that effective on the offensive end. We saw it in game one against the Phoenix Suns there. Even when he's not passing the ball and doing all that stuff, he's still hitting outlet passes, of course, and doing stuff of that nature. But his ability on the glass, his ability to score in different ways, outside, inside, from the line, like he's that efficient on the offensive end, pushing Denver to new heights like that. We can't ignore what he's doing, and especially in this matchup against DeAndre Ayton, he can only improve his ranking so far. Um, I wanted to go with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, but they couldn't finish the Hawks in 6, so that's why I don't have them on this list right now. But I feel like there's a better duo, which I'll get into right now, with Nikola Jokic there and the next person on this list. But I just feel like Nikola Jokic, he doesn't get talked about enough. People are ignoring him. People try to disrespect him, discredit him, and it's just not warranted. Like this guy's one of the best players in the basketball in the game, one of the best passing big men. I will say that. I don't care what nobody says. He's the best passing big man. We have seen enough in his efforts to really realize, hey, my other guys have it going. Let me impact the game a different way. He's able to do that on the glass, as we saw with the offensive rebounds in the first game against the Suns. This guy's legit, and it's about time people start realizing that he is that guy. At some point, we're going to have to realize that. At some point. Moving on to the next person here on this list, it is Jamal Murray. Um, really stating his claim, getting back to form. And all season, I felt like Joker was kind of getting these guys involved, and I feel like a great recipient of that is Jamal Murray. And people say I've been in arguments with people saying that he's not. Joker doesn't create this guy who he is, and I'm not disrespecting Jamal Murray. And when I say that Joker was getting these guys ready, getting their confidence up, I'm not saying he's impacting those guys to that point. But in terms of what this guy's doing, Jamal Murray, we have to start respecting him. Take off that Bubble Murray label, please, because this guy gets buckets in bundles. Um, he's able to hit his jumper off pick and rolls, ISO situations. He's able to attack the defense. It's about time we start talking about him as one of the better guards in the NBA. If you want to put Dame, you want to put Steph, you want to put Ja in front of him, he might be a little tier below those guys, but he's big time. And it's about time we start respecting him and especially seeing in these series here, warming up and playing as he is. It's about time we start respecting him as a basketball player and take off that Bubble Murray label when he was coming back from injury, all this stuff here. Even I questioned at certain points in time. I was like, do they need to upgrade there just because I don't know how he's going to come back from the injury? And I've even been shutting up about that because of the way he's been playing and the way he's been stepping up. And it's playoff time, and he's showing up again. And they have a really good chance to get to the Western Conference Finals against the Suns team. And we'll see how that goes. But it's just, we got to start respecting Jamal Murray, his game. And he said it on TNT. He was like, yo, man, you guys got to start respecting my game. And he doesn't know what else to do. But just keep balling, man. And we love watching you play out there and put the ball in the basket and be one of the better guards in the NBA for a long time. So continue to do that. Hoping for more big time performances, especially in the Sun series. And especially, I believe they're going to get to the Western Conference Finals. And that's not just because Nikola Jokic. That's also because he has Jamal Murray. And his Denver team is a lot better with him on it. And they're a lot better than people are expecting. And a lot of people that they think. They're a lot better than people think that they are. And it's really disrespectful just to say the Warriors, the Lakers, and the Suns, and the Clippers. People were picking everybody else besides Denver. And it's like, no, there's something here that people need to be paying attention to. And Jamal Murray is one of those reasons why Denver should be a little bit more respected than they have been. Moving on here to the number third person in this list. Devin Booker. Devin Booker, number 3 on this list here. Now, what can we say? This is probably the highest level of Devin Booker we've seen since the finals. And of course, he had those 40-point games in the finals. He's averaging 35.5 points per game, 6.7 assists, and 4.8 rebounds. And you think about how masterful, excuse me, think about how masterful Devin Booker has been these playoffs and been as efficient and been one of the top guards in the league. He's been absolutely taking advantage of that Clipper series that we saw in game 1 where he really got off and there was just no answers for him. Had a good game 1. I think that was more due to the lack of depth of the Phoenix Suns than anything else. But Devin Booker he's shown that he has arrived on that level of player. And people have questioned him. And of course, I've always given him trouble for the we're in practice while you doubling, we're in pickup while we doubling and stuff like that. Of course, all that stuff. But this guy is legit. He's a legit scorer. He's one of the best scorers in the NBA. And he's finally being on show with that. He's averaging more than Kevin Durant, who is 4th in all-time leading playoff per game scores in league history. So he's averaging more than Kevin Durant does over these playoffs. So there has to be a little bit more respect on his name. We'll see how that goes into this series against Denver, where they're really going to need his scoring ultimately overall. But yeah, you can't be more impressed with this guy. He's also having 2.3 steals and a block average in over the course of these playoffs. So he's doing it on both ends, where defense was kind of a question mark of him. He's actually stepping up on the defensive end, scoring the basketball at a really, really the highest level. I think him and Jimmy Butler are the 2 highest scorers in the playoffs so far. And you just have to respect this guy and what he's been able to do. And his level of play has increased. We have to respect Devin Booker, but they're definitely going to need his production going forward in the series against Denver. But he's in 3rd place on my MVP so far. Moving on to that guy, Stephen Curry, right? Stephen Curry. The 50-point game in Game 7 people probably think he's the MVP so far of the playoffs so far. A 7-game series where they really needed his offense throughout that series and the way he was able to do it. And you thought these young boys and De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk were going to overtake the Warriors, especially with the 2-0 lead. They battled back in 3-2. There was a high chance people were picking the Kings. Even I picked the Kings at 7. I thought the Kings would have gotten them. But to see Steph Curry's performance, see his impact basically carrying this Warriors team all season, working Klay Thompson back, and who has been fantastic coming back. Andrew Wiggins just came back. Draymond Green out 1 game. And you're really just looking around, and you're like, there's no help on the bench. Guys are missing games, getting ejected. Draymond Green, for that instance. Jordan Poole has not been effective. Andrew Wiggins is getting his feet back wet. You look at the bench, you got Dante DiVincenzo, Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, all these other guys that are really not paying dividends right now. And Steph Curry continues to just raise his game. Continuously continues to raise his game into age as he builds on his body, as he gets stronger, as he works harder. And he's that guy. And people are even having a conversation, is he the best point guard of all time? And I sat there and I said, he's not better than Magic, because I think Magic I think Magic can do it all. Maybe not shoot like Steph Curry. As they said, shooting is the one thing Steph Curry has over Magic Johnson, and I think they talked about it on First Take as well. He's in the conversation because that magnitude of him shooting impacts literally everything the Golden State Warriors do. When you look at this team in terms of how they move the ball, Steph Curry's ability to play off ball, on ball, he's able to do all of that. But the gravity that he creates, where he's creating switches on off-ball screens, where he's darting across the court, running, one of the highest conditioned athletes ever. We have to start talking about him in that sense too. Yes, he doesn't rebound like a Magic Johnson. He doesn't run the offense like a Magic Johnson, but his impact on shooting the basketball, scoring, getting into the lane, he's doing it all. We've seen it this series. Also getting 5 points and 5 assists on nearly 34 points a game, shooting it efficiently. And let's be honest, that could have been the end of the Warriors' run when we think about it, right? We don't know what's going to happen with Draymond Green, right? Klay Thompson and Steph are obviously going to be there. Klay Thompson's in contract negotiation. So we're looking around here and we're like, what is the next phase of this team? And Steph Curry saved it. He extended it. Think about that. This dynasty could have been over. We heard about runs ending all the time, and he extended it. He extended that. Steph Curry, one guy, saved that franchise in terms of that dynasty, that run, whatever it is. He extended that, and that has to be respected. And we have to start looking at Steph Curry in that conversation. Is he drifting up the top 10 ranks? My top 10 has been solidified for a long time. There's only been LeBron James that has been able to break into the top 10 for me in terms of this new era. And when you think about what Steph Curry has been able to do, has been able to battle, and has been able to improve on his body, looks like he can play until 40, looks like he's going to continue to shoot the ball really well. We've never seen that. So with that said, he could be entering my top 10. And that's not just in terms of he needs another championship or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to do that. If he continues to play like this at a high level, he will be in my top 10. If he continues to win at a high level and then get to the finals and win another championship, there's going to be a lot of discussions happening, not on Sports Talk Radio, in basketball history. Like, we're going to have to start looking at him as one of those guys that are in the upper echelon of NBA players forever. That conversation's going to happen. So we'll see what happens with that. But Steph Curry's second on my MVP ranking. And you're probably wondering, why is Steph Curry second? Why is he second? Who's playing better than Steph Curry at this point in time? And there's only one person that I can go to and say that he's playing at that high level. Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Buckets, Jimmy Bundles, Himmy Butler, whatever you want to call him. Jimmy Butler has been that guy this playoffs. We have to start respecting Jimmy Butler. Another guy who you wouldn't think about, another guy who you think is on the outside looking in, another guy that you think about as a guy that you would pick plenty of players before him. But being as a Jimmy Butler fan, there's a lot of people that I'm taking Jimmy Butler over. And a couple of them are on this list. Just a couple. So there's two people. I'll let y'all figure that out. I'm not going to do that. But Jimmy Butler has looked like he came from the depths of hell, right? Like, they lost to Atlanta in that play-in series. They were going up against Chicago, who I thought was a little bit more deeper, had a little bit more dynamic scoring, and Jimmy Butler wins that game. He goes into Milwaukee, takes a 2-1 lead. Yes, Giannis is down. And is playing magnificent, insanely, godly-like performances. 56, 42 points in one game. 56 points in one game, 42 points in one game. He was down 6 in Milwaukee, looked at Drew Holiday in the face, and said, "I own you." Let me say that again. He was down 6, being guarded by Drew Holiday. And they turn around and win the game on the road and put Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks, who are champions, who have won 2 years ago, and beat them 4-1. Does anybody understand that? Does that make sense? It does not make sense what this guy is doing, Jimmy Butler is doing for this Miami Heat team, who was down Tyler Hero, Victor Oladipo, playing with Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Kevin Love, who we thought was a shell of himself. And he's navigating. Oh, and guess what, people? They won game 1 the other day. So they're up 1-0 against the New York Knicks as an 8 seed in the second round, led by Jimmy Butler. And I sat there and I asked the people in the group and sit and talk, a group I'm in, a sports group I'm in, one of the better sports groups. And I asked, is Jimmy Butler this era's Reggie Miller? Not in terms of play style, but in terms of guys raising their level of play. Because Jimmy Butler and Reggie Miller have been on that 20 point per game, roughly around there, a little bit above that during the regular season. But when the playoffs happen, it goes to high 20s and it goes to 30s. What these guys are able to do on a nightly basis for guys that were not supposed to be elite, guys who you would pick, plenty of guys who you would pick before them. These guys in the playoffs are different. There's a reason why they are able to do what they're able to do, because they sense the moment. They take advantage of certain things. and they're able to raise their level of play. Jimmy Butler is one of those guys. Another guy said to me, Sam Jones, especially playing with the Celtics, and I'm like, he was that guy. He just played with Hondo and Bill Russell. So no discredit to Sam Jones. But in the modern era, of course, I'll talk about the modern era because that's what I mainly know. Jimmy Butler is one of those guys. And I was on the Mr. Vincent podcast, and he said, is Jimmy Butler a Hall of Famer? And when you look at it, it's heading in that direction of yes, especially if he continues to have these playoff series, especially if he continues to play at a high level. Jimmy Butler is that guy. Now, is he the first ballot Hall of Famer that you would pick off the front row? No, he's not. That's fine. I'm fine with that. But it's time we start respecting Jimmy Butler for what he's doing and appreciate what he's doing. And I'm going to throw a shot here at the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Chicago Bulls, even the Philadelphia 76ers. You could have had this Jimmy Butler being as productive. You could have had this Jimmy Butler leading y'all through the playoffs. You could have had Jimmy Butler, a consistent hand, a guy that shows up in the playoffs on both ends of the floor, I might add you. And been in better positions. And all you guys didn't think he was that guy. You guys picked multiple people over him. And Jimmy Butler's still standing. I just want to point that out. Philadelphia's going to get eliminated. That's going to happen. Minnesota's gone home. Chicago has gone home. You guys have picked everybody over Jimmy Butler. And at some point, you're going to reap what you sow. And that's what's happening. You guys in Minnesota are stuck with Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert now. In Chicago, you guys don't know what you're doing with Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. You guys don't even have Lauri Markkanen. Philadelphia is struggling. They're stuck with Tobias Harris. Joel Embiid is hurt right now. Who was cool with Jimmy Butler, by the way. You guys don't even have Ben Simmons. James Harden's wording around that he might be leaving. But there's one guy still remaining out of all those teams. A guy that they didn't consider was good enough. Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Buckets. He's still going. Somehow, some way, undermanned team. Putting the team on his back numerous times. And he's doing it again. But that's how I want to end episode 46 here. With Jimmy Butler, the playoff MVP so far this season. We're going to continue talking about basketball. I'm going to try to have Manuel Vincent and other people on the podcast as well going forward. Ring takes will continue this week as we talk about the GOAT bracket. We're finally going to get to that. I have some voting from Facebook and Instagram. And as we move on, we'll continue talking about that and wrestling, of course, as the draft is happening, and more basketball. So stay tuned for that, and thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.